Hey, Moon Magic Super Souls, thank you so much for joining me today for these readings and a conversation with the very amazing Arielle Guttman. I am so thrilled. She's only in the UK for like a couple of weeks and she's here with me live, no Zoom meetings, to actually have a conversation. So Arielle, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for allowing me to be here and in your presence and in your space. It's just been wonderful. I've had a wonderful time here in the UK.
Fab. And I know people are kind of awaiting our conversation. So let me
Okay.
just do a bit of a formal introduction so people who aren't aware of you or aren't aware of your presence or the fact that we were going to have this conversation, let people know a little bit about you and why we're having the conversation.
Okay.
So if that's okay with
Sure.
you. So Arielle, I've known Arielle for a couple of years now. Arielle is the world leading, I'm going to say, astrological expert on the Venus star point, the impact of the Venus star point in our personal charts and also in the sort of the greater collective astrology that is impacting on all of us and does all of the time. So I met Arielle a couple of years ago. I had a Venus star point reading with her, which was mind-blowingly amazing, I would have to say. And the fact that Arielle is here and having a conversation with us is amazing. So I'm thinking of, we've decided to kind of free fall into our conversation, but I am thinking of asking her to just say a little bit about the Venus star points. Can you let people know, in fact, actually, can you let people know how you kind of started working with the Venus star point? Where did this all begin?
That's a story. So it began 20 years ago this year,
Oh,
2004.
wow.
I was preparing for a trip to France, leading a small group through the sacred sites of France, mostly the feminine sacred sites of France. And I was preparing some astrology talks on the sacred feminine. And so the objects in the sky that are considered feminine are mostly the moon and Venus, and many of the asteroids as well. But I was focusing on the moon, but especially Venus, because France and Venus, there's a very strong connection.
Okay.
And so I started researching and realized it was going to be retrograde for
Okay.
the trip. And so I went, okay, let me look at the last retrograde, and then the one before that, and then the next one, and so forth. And I started connecting the dots, and the dots connected to this perfect five-pointed star that
Right.
Venus traces in the sky. So what I mean, it's so much. It's to really distill it down into something very like the elevator speech, as they call it, is difficult because it's a complex thing. But I think that the main thing to know for people is, if you know astrology or even a little bit about astrology, you probably know you have a position, a planet called Venus. And you probably maybe even know where your Venus is. But this is the Venus star. It's like a higher, it's like the soul of Venus, the
Right.
greater orbit, it's really a dance of Earth and Venus together as they move around the sun in their circular orbits or their elliptical orbits around the sun. So sometimes the sun is ahead and sometimes Venus is ahead, but every 9 months they connect in what we
Okay.
call the kiss of Venus. And
Okay.
then Venus moves ahead, or else the sun moves ahead, depending on whether Venus is retrograde or not, or direct. And it's all astronomically and mathematically a beautiful cycle. If those of you that know mathematics and work with numbers, that alone it's like the equation of harmony,
Wow.
divine harmony, this Earth Venus combination. So it's a real thing that happens in space. It's not made up. But what I didn't know about it, a lot of astrologers had mentioned Venus orbits in a five-pointed star, but didn't really know what that meant. But as I was doing this research, it all just dropped in. I mean, it really dropped in enough for a 400-page book on it
Yeah.
that took 7 years to
Wow.
produce. And to come out with, which I see you have a copy of over
I do.
there.
I'm going to show it to everybody in just a minute. I'm about to get mine signed, by the way.
But anyway, it was such a feeling of joy
Wow.
to receive that information. And every day that I worked on that book, I was just so empowered with
Wow.
joy, love. It was an ecstatic experience. And it made me realize that Venus and the sun, this Venus star, really is sort of the frequency of joy, because it's the cosmic heartbeat, and it operates behind the zodiac. We don't see it. We don't see it like we see the planets moving around, because we can't see Venus when she's with the sun. It's the kiss of Venus. She's in the sun is too bright, so you don't see Venus, but they're together. And because it's a 9-month or 9.2 month, from one cazimi to the next, or conjunction or kiss, it's the human gestation cycle as well.
I was thinking exactly that as you were saying that. This is like, wow, for me, this is like a 9-month kind of birthing phase.
Conception to
birth. So, I mean, from that, we said we'd free fall into a conversation, so I hope this is okay. But I mean, that for me immediately sparked these thoughts about, wow, so if you know where your Venus star point is, or you know when the next kissing point is, you can orientate, let's say, your own manifestations, your own alignments in your own personal world with that divine harmony, that vibration of higher love, of divine harmony. I mean, I thought that's fascinating as well when you were writing the book, that you literally, it sounded to me like you're sitting in the very essence of that energy.
I was.
That ecstatic energy. And I do think when we work with astrology, and I'm not, as you know, I'm not an astrologer. I grew up with astrology because my younger sister is an astrologer, which I'm very, very grateful for. And when she and I have had conversations, we often talk about the way when we become aware of something, it's like we can start to really embody that energy, that essence into our own consciousness. We can start to really work with it in an active way. And, if there's one thing that the world needs, actually, it sounds very cliche, but it's really true. We need love. Pure love, not just romantic, idealized love, real love, in every possible way. It's what we are needing, and harmony and balance. So, I mean, just look at the craziness of the world at the moment.
Exactly. And even at that time, 20 years ago, there was this idea that we were moving into the heart center collectively, and that it was really important for us to move into the heart center, that we are very mind people, we are up functioning in our mind all the time, which is a good thing to navigate around and to get through life and to get your tasks accomplished and so forth. It's Mercury, which is retrograde right now, which we may talk about in a moment.
Yeah, we might do.
But that's Mercury, and Mercury actually forms geometrically a 6-pointed star.
How interesting. Okay.
And it's more the mind. Okay, it's more about the mind, the spirit and mind connect. The Sun Mercury kiss is based on a 6-pointed configuration, but Venus and the Earth is based on a 5. So the 5, the sacred number 5, she makes 5 kisses with the Sun in an 8-year period. It's a 5-8 ratio, which boils down to 1.6, or the Fibonacci sequence, if you know about that, which is divine harmony. So what all these numbers.
Gosh, there's so many different little pieces. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. All these pieces clicking in. Wow.
But it's a frequency. It's how Earth and Venus are related. It's Earth's orbit to Venus's orbit. If you divide one by the other, you get the golden mean. If you divide the other by the other, you still get the golden mean. So artists know about the golden mean, and designers and architects and photographers and so forth, musicians even. So it is a frequency. It's the frequency of Venus, and what I call it is the cosmic heartbeat.
Wow, I love that. Now, I now have a question which I think many people might be asking. I should also say, although we're recording this, if you want to put any questions into comments, I can kind of forward them to Arielle or get her to come to the channel and maybe answer some of those comments.
Definitely.
Or I want to be really cheeky and say, can we have further conversations? If people have got lots of questions, maybe we could meet up, even if it's on Zoom. Arielle does not live in the UK, so I am seizing the moment, grabbing her now while I can. But I mean, we could maybe even do a Zoom conversation if you've got questions that you want to know more about. I mean, can we do that?
Of course, we can do another
Amazing.
one. I live in Greece, so I'm not too far away, but through Zoom, we're almost in the same room.
Yeah, well, I'll just fly to Greece. I'll just come over and see you.
Definitely.
I was actually with Arielle in Greece for the most recent Venus star point. So, yeah, we can travel. We can do this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, my question at this point in time is, so if people kind of can work out or find out, and I know your book teaches, I'm just going to show you, this particular book, The Venus Star Rising. I will put a link to this book, by the way, in the description box if anybody is interested in this. But if you can locate where your Venus star point is, how do you then, how do you apply that knowledge to your personal life in terms of, this impact of divine harmony? I mean, how can we use this knowledge and this information?
Yes. So the next thing after discovering that it exists was, my next question was, gee, I wonder where it is right now. Where is this Kazemi or kiss happening in terms of the zodiac?
Yeah.
And at that time, that was 20 years ago, it was in Gemini. And funny enough, this year it's also in Gemini because it moves slowly through a sign, backwards through a sign, or clockwise. I don't think we have a forwards and a backwards in the zodiac, but it moves clockwise from our point of view through the zodiac. So it would start in the sign at 29 degrees, Gemini, which it began in 1964. Well, now we're in 2024, so we're 60 years later. And it's gotten to the halfway point. So it's about halfway through Gemini. So it'll be another 50 or 60 years to still go.
Okay.
So every 8 years it moves just slightly, like one notch, maybe a notch and a half.
Okay.
Threading the needle. And but there's 5 of them in existence at any given time. And because it's the 5-pointed star. But there's one primary star. And I likened it to the Vitruvian Man. Leonardo da Vinci made that man famous, the little with the outstretched arms, and it's the perfect human form. And he demonstrated that the human body was all phi ratio, this divine harmony between the proportion between the head and or I don't know, all sorts of things, measuring the hands and the arms and the head and the whatnot and the torso, that we're really all fashioned after this perfect. And also, if you notice on health, a lot of healing centers, especially holistic healing centers, you'll find that little Vitruvian Man figure as a symbol. It's come to represent health, harmony, body, mind, spirit, everything connected. And when I do a Venus star reading for people to map out their 5 points, and then I overlay their planets on top of it, or I overlay the 5 points on their chart, I can see, okay, this arm is grasping these planets and falling in this house. This arm is grasping these planets and falling in this house. So those become the points in your chart at which are going to do the give you the live experiences of the higher octave of Venus, which is the vibration of cosmic love.
Right. Okay. So I'm just sitting with that image in my mind, actually, of us and the human body being the 5-pointed star. We have 2 feet on the ground, we have 2 arms, and then we have our head at that top point.
So that's the 5.
So that's your 5. So when you do somebody's chart, I mean, I know because I've had mine done. So you're actually looking not just at the Venus star point that was, let's say, the one that's closest to their birth time. You're actually looking at all the 5, the whole star. You're looking at the whole star in relationship to their chart.
Right.
And then you're able to interpret how that's kind of operating, you know, where those different star points are functioning.
Yes. I mean, for beginners, I try to say keep it simple. Just look up your star point date. And you can go to my website and find a PDF that has the star point dates.
Okay.
And you can download it. I have it on my phone. I carry it with me all the time. Many people have downloaded it to their phone. It's an easily downloadable app that or PDF file that can and you can look up the dates. Right now we're at 14 degrees Gemini in the star point. So immediately, if you know your chart at all, you can go bing, bing, bing. My moon's at 14 degrees Sag. Or, you know, oh, my Mars is at 14 degrees Gemini or something. So you'd say, oh, that's got to mean something. Well, yes, it does. When it's slowly moving around this slow moving clock around the zodiac, the whole star moves. So each point is moving slowly and rotating through time. And in your life, let's say you live to be 100 or close to that.
Okay.
It's going to, the whole star is going to rotate about 30 degrees.
Okay.
So it'll complete one whole sign.
Okay.
But you're not born at the beginning of the sign necessarily. It could be the middle of the sign. So in other words, it'll move about 30, maybe 25 to 30 degrees in a person's lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a way, that's a bit like astrologically when we look at almost like a transit, where we're looking at what's happening now in relationship to your chart when you were born. But in this instance, we're looking at interpretations that can help us to understand. I mean, the things that are sort of coming to my mind really are, you know, where does I guess divine harmony sits in our world in every possible way, ideally. But I'm kind of thinking about that level of soul, you know, your calling, your purpose, understanding, you know, where you are right now. Are you on track or are you not on track? What's in balance? What's out of balance? You know, where can that energy of love actually come in and assist you? Can you look through the lens of love? And, you know, are you needing to be more centered in the feminine, perhaps in your heart center rather than just in your mind? I mean,
yes, because, you know, for practical purposes, we are all asking questions all the time.
Yeah.
But most of the time, we're asking them from our mind.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think when I teach people their Venus star point, just starting with their main point, it's a fast track to get to the heart. Like, what does your heart want? You know, don't keep swirling it around, stewing over it in your mind. You know, this, that. Oh, maybe not. You know, just let that mind, you know, be still and quiet and listen, and then feel it, because you know, in any situation in life, when you meet somebody. And of course, Venus has a lot to do with relationships and connections. So when you meet somebody, you automatically have a zing with them, like, oh, I want to get to know this person. Well, oh, I feel so connected here or attracted. Let's make this happen. And that principle is embedded in this Venus star pattern too. It's the sacred geometry of the movement of the Venus star, which I won't go into today, but it's there. And or you meet somebody and you go, like, suddenly you want to move away, and you're doing all these things like protection and you know, or whatever, or your mind is going,
okay,
I don't know, I don't trust it. You know, even if you're not sensing it in the feeling, your mind is going, I don't know,
something's
not quite right about that person, you know. Okay, so this is all what you feel at that level in here is real. It's very real. It can't lie to you. It cannot lie to you. Whereas the mind can.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the difference between Mercury and Venus.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, because
Mercury, remember, was the trickster.
Yeah,
and also the patron of thieves. You know, back in the day. So we have to say, you know, our mind. There's a saying, our mind plays tricks on us. Well, that's Mercury.
That's Mercury energy. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fascinating because in a way, I'm guessing again, the more you understand and connect with the Venus star point within your chart, but also where that sort of how that energy is arriving now in the here and now. You're going to be able to bypass your mind, aren't you? And perhaps, or it will assist you. I mean, in the way that astrology always does assist us in actually having a higher viewpoint, but also a very grounded viewpoint at the same time. I always feel when I'm sitting with somebody looking at my chart, or I'm connecting in with somebody else's chart, it's like an anchor point, as if we're receiving guidance from the stars, and there's a mirror and an anchor point that helps us to make much more sense of where we are right now. But what we're saying, or what you're saying with the Venus star point, is this is making sense of it from the heart and not through the logical mind.
Right.
So we can, if you've got a load of clutter going on in your mind, or you've got very fixed perspectives, or you're struggling with maybe even, things like limiting beliefs that have been there from days of old when you were a child, and this stuff is just in the way, you can cut through that.
Exactly.
With this element of astrology, which I just think is mammoth. If I think of my work as a therapist, helping people to bypass all of that clutter and really know from the heart to feel something, and to be able to trust that experience within themselves. It's a big deal, because actually we receive so much conditioning. We were speaking about this earlier this morning, actually. We receive so much conditioning from such an early age, and it's interwoven in us, and it's in our thinking patterns. But if we have a tool that enables us to cut through some of that stuff, I mean, that for me that feels like the stuff of miracles, really, because so often it's our mind that gets in the way.
Right.
Really, really does.
And what, it's so true. And what putting it in the chart did for me back then, initially, was really, it was a fast track into into the heart. Because a lot of people would say, well, I know, we're told to connect more to your heart center, but how do I do that? How do I do that? Many people did not know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. I was very mind. Astrology can be, it's a cosmic science, but it's very mental. And you're studying all these patterns and movements and cycles of planets and things. So it can be, your mind can just go on overload, explosion, and so, but we do have our feelings. We sense, and we feel, and we know. And we know when our heart is happy. The other thing about the pattern of the five-pointed star is, if you meditate on it, or just have, people have stars hanging all around their houses, and they don't even know why, or their office, or on the door, or something. But the five-pointed star, if you actually meditate on that pattern, it cannot bring you down. It's actually an uplifting pattern. Shape, and it has to do with the heart. It's the fractal of the heart. And if a mathematician were drawing it, the Venus frequency, that's what they would get. They would get these straight lines that make a five-pointed star. But if an artist, let's say, were painting it, they would get more of the heart shape, the spiral. It's like the spiral of life that keeps going and growing, because initially it's connection, Venus. Venus, it's attraction. It's okay, let's get together. It's fertility, and then it's birth. And so, and the 9-month
cycle, wow.
So, and it keeps repeating, this fractal keeps repeating. So it is about life. It's a life-giving. Now, it's also a life ending. It's with Venus, Venus has two basic natures that has come down to us from the ancient wisdom teachers. And that is that she is when she is a morning star, she is the warrior aspect of Venus.
Okay.
And when she is a evening star, she is the lover aspect of Venus. Wow. So you have two parts of Venus embedded inside of you. Okay. The lover and the warrior. And you will be born at one or the other.
Okay.
And the warrior doesn't mean you're here to fight. It just means, it actually means that the warrior Venuses, especially for feminine issues relating to Venus, can stand up for themselves a little bit more, and they can get out there and, you know, just move through. It's more like the Athena. She's more like the goddess Athena when she's a morning star.
Yeah.
Okay, using her mind, strategizing, getting out there. Athena was also the goddess, besides of wisdom, was also the goddess of war, a warrior goddess. But she didn't so much wage war as she advised warriors, but she was also there for the peacemaking and for the you know, protection of nations and so forth. And so the morning star goddess is Venus when she's closer to the earth.
Okay.
And she's more connected to affairs of the earth. The evening star goddess comes from the Casimir conjunction when Venus is on the far side of the sun. So she's as far away from Earth as possible. And many Venus star, evening star people are seemingly very far away from Earth. You know, they're like, I don't understand this whole Earth, how it functions, and you know, I don't understand politics, and I don't understand you know, finances and economic things and stuff like that. You know, they'll say to me, I let somebody else take care of that. You know, it's like, okay, I don't do that, you know, whatever. Not all of them. You're going to be a blend of both because you're going to be born somewhere between the cycle of one and the other.
Okay.
And in the 9-month period of your gestation, maybe 5 months in the womb, it was a morning star.
Okay.
And then the other 4 months, it was an evening star.
Okay.
So depending on your position prenatally, from your conception to birth, you're probably a blend of both. But if you're very, very close to the star, you know, you're coming from a very
specific energy.
Right.
How interesting. I mean, again, that kind of really makes me think about the value of being able to know where your Venus star point is and identify it. Because back to, I suppose, if I put my therapeutic hat on, you know, knowledge is power. The more self-awareness we develop, the more empowered we are. Because if we're kind of, I don't know, living on autopilot, you know, our buttons can be pressed, we all kind of have natural ways of responding to things. If you have an awareness of what that is, it means you can put yourself in charge of that. It puts you in the driving seat. I mean, knowledge seriously is power, especially emotionally. And, you know, our emotions often spring from the heart, even if we react strongly to something. Because let's say there's an injustice and we kind of are fired up. Let's say maybe somebody has a morning Venus star point and they were very close to it, and there's a lot of warrior energy. They can feel very fired up.
Exactly.
Having an awareness of, gosh, that's kind of in me. So rather than maybe people being critical of themselves, they develop an awareness of that. It's like, okay, so that's a part of me. How can I work with this? How can I kind of use this? What skills do I need to develop to really embody this energy at its highest sort of vibration? Knowledge is always power. And I always feel the more tools we have to be able to embrace that knowledge, the more empowered we can be. In terms of navigating our lives from a position of awareness, and indeed through the lens of the heart. I mean, we need the head and the heart, obviously, but there needs to be a balance. And I think for a very, very long time, we've been so mind-centered and mind-dominated that, and because the mind can play tricks on us, that's for sure, you know, there's not enough, I would almost say purity.
Right.
You know, in humanity at large.
Right.
You know, purity has become almost like a vulnerability where people can be almost targeted for purity rather than it being honoured and appreciated and valued as being this essential commodity in, you know, energetically, you know, holding a collective, you know, humanity that operates again through love, really, through balance, through harmony, through respect of difference, through diversity. I mean, I feel like, and maybe this is probably for another conversation, I suspect, because, you know, there's a limit to how long we should talk today, but I just feel like the Venus star point work that you are doing has the potential to really play the most monumental part in the growth of the collective humanity at this moment in time, when we are in a period of accelerated growth, accelerated transition, and tons of craziness that's going on in the world because of the overall, because of the overall astrodynamics. It's where we are, it's what we're doing, it's why a lot of us are here at a level of soul.
Right.
I can't help feeling, for me, I think as I contemplate where we are astrologically, where we are as a collective humanity, the kind of conflicts, the division that we're seeing, that actually everything that's happening is about moving us to higher levels of consciousness. It's about enabling humanity to reach that. We're moving up.
Center.
And I can't help feeling that the Venus star point work that you have been doing and are continuing to do has a major role to play, actually, in creating a level of self-awareness and self-empowerment that operates in a really heart-centered, balanced way, actually.
Well, I believe that's why it came through at the time that it did. It was a very special time, by the way, in the heavens when it came through.
Really?
Because 2004 and 2012 were is a period separated by 8 years, and there's a phenomenon that Venus does at every 120 years or so. There's a twin transit of Venus across the sun, and the only one in our lifetimes, like you and I, not maybe not the little ones that are being born now, but our lifetime was the one in 2004 and the one in 2012. And it was Venus transiting where you could actually see Venus crossing the face of the sun as if it were a Venus eclipse or something. And it was photographed. It's funny, in 2004 hardly anybody knew about it. Astronomers knew, and people that were connected to that base of knowledge knew. But by 2012 the whole world knew. Because the internet and social media and everything instantly going viral around the world. Everybody was out watching it. And
that's my
you know, I had read about other Venus transits in you know, because they're about every 120 years or so, and that each time that 8 year, or let's call it the decade of the Venus transit in history, was always such a leap in consciousness, such a leap forward. And what happened to us between 2004 and 2012, I realized right there that the difference between who knew about the 2004 transit and who knew about the 12 was mind-blowing. Like, that's how information and technology and communication and how what the Venus star, and it was a Gemini transit. These transits happen in
so
Gemini.
Communication,
the mind, information, communication, instant. And the whole smartphone thing, the whole texting, handheld devices, this is Gemini. This is short messages, you know. Gemini doesn't want to read the whole, you know, the whole series, the whole book series. It's like, condense it to me in little, you know, little sound bites and little, you know, texting instead of long messages. So it's like we became instantly, you know, a mobile phone society connected through the world, with the world through it, and messaging differently, learning differently, education really. I mean, at the time, I kept reading news reports about how education was failing. The educational system was failing the children because it wasn't what they wanted or needed. And if only I, as an astrologer or an astrologer that knew this information, could influence the Board of Education and say, these children are not wired for that kind of learning. You have to give them you have to apply different methods. And I think that's true of every generation, basically, with the education. Now, at the higher levels of education, I think they do realize that and keep up with that. But this is even more important in the primary early years, because these kids are, you know, we joke all the time, like, I can't figure this thing out on my phone. And someone says, oh, well, there's a 14-year-old over there. Ask them. And
it's
they
true.
do.
And it's true.
I've done this in Greece. I've said, I'm sorry, do you know how to work this Android thing and get this to shut off? And he picks it up and he goes, boom, 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 and it's done.
Yeah.
And I've been messing with it for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So information, the way we learn, what we want to learn, you know, the content of all of that. So this year we are in a Gemini star point, and there's a lot of information coming in.
Isn't there just? Yeah, lots. It's very, very true. It's very electric, isn't it, really? That's what the sort of energy is feeling like. Now, I'm aware of our time, and we were going to just briefly potentially touch, and this has taken me there very nicely, on Mercury in retrograde, which is happening right now. I think it's a miracle that all the technology is actually working for our conversation. I know I should probably not really say that. Don't tempt fate.
Okay, Mercury.
But you know, in a way, our conversation today has been actually to really introduce people to the Venus star, to the concept, and thank you, because I think we've kind of done that and hopefully kind of whetted people's appetites. And I'm going to do some readings around the Venus star point in a moment as well. But before we do wrap up, can we just very briefly touch on kind of the Mercury retrograde energy and maybe the sort of the connectedness, because we have Mercury rules Gemini, we've had a Venus star point in Gemini. As you said, communications are flying around the world at a rate of knots. We're seeing lots of amazing information. We're also seeing, you know, the more shadow side of information as well. The world feels like it's very fast paced, very crazy. Mercury in retrograde is perhaps adding to that, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, can you say a little bit about that, just to give people a little flavour? Because again, I think when things are feeling very busy, very hectic, very crazy, things aren't running smoothly, we can feel very unanchored. And it's really helpful, I think, knowledge is power, just to have a sort of a reference point. In fact, I will also just put into the description below, even though it was a conversation that I think I posted last week as well, that Arielle had with a couple of other astrologers, just about the kind of current dynamics.
The mutable cross.
So I will put, because that's a really in-depth conversation. It's a fantastic conversation. I watched most of it live, but I had to go to a meeting and then watch the rest later. But, you know, it's worth, you know, connecting in with that. So I'll put that in the description and in a comment as well for you. But Arielle, can you say a little bit about the kind of the overall dynamics now in relation to the fact that we have had a very recent Venus star point in Gemini, which is all about communication?
Well, so to your point, the Venus star point occurred in Gemini on June 4th at 14 degrees Gemini. It will be in effect until March 21st of 2025. It's a 9-month. It's a 9-month thing, and then the next one will be Aries. So in each 9-month period of time, this is how you can use it in a very practical way.
Right.
It's Gemini. So first of all, if you're using it personally, you can find out where Gemini is in your chart and focus on that house or planets that you might have there, or touching it in some way. But for the world, Gemini, it is media. It's a lot of conversations that contradict one another, or are not on the same page, or aren't, or is the information correct or isn't it? And to your point of that we're in the Gemini star point, you do look for the planet that governs Gemini, which in this case is Mercury. And you watch what Mercury is doing through this whole cycle, because the Venus star remains fixed at that point for 9 months. It's not moving. It's there. But it's highlighting, it's saying, okay, Mercury, I'm in your house right now. And so you've got the reign. What will you be doing during this time? And so, of course, it's good to watch Mercury as it moves in and out of signs throughout this 9-month period, but especially when it goes retrograde. And it is retrograde. It went retrograde in one of its other signs, Virgo. And it was very nicely, though, right after it went retrograde, it conjoined Venus in the sky, who had just entered Virgo.
Yeah.
So it was already ahead of Venus in Virgo, and then it's starting to move back, and Venus is coming into Virgo, so they're having their own little kiss. That was about, when was that? Around the 10th of early August. It was in early August, the first week or so of August. And so that's it. It kind of introduced it in a nice way. You know, it came in a gentle kind of, hey, I'm in my own sign. I'm retrograde, but I'm in my own sign, and I'm meeting up with Venus. So there was a kind of interplay there of a lot of special communications and friendships and love and loving conversations, and I could feel a real shift in the collective energy around that time too, because well, I won't get into the politics of it, but things changed in the world a bit and made me and a lot of people feel more our heart, like more like, oh, this feels so good, or whatever, what we were observing, what we were seeing. But Mercury retrograde basically is slow down. Our minds move so fast, and Mercury's the fastest planet when it's moving forward. It circles the sun in record time, 88 days, and so it needs to go retrograde. Otherwise, it's like going.
Yes, you're on the roundabout, aren't you? Yeah.
It's the car needing to stop and park and recharge the battery, or us to stop and recharge the brain or the battery. It's best to do more sleeping during that time. And, we have two hemispheres of the brain, to get into the right brain, to dream more. And I find dreams actually showing up in a stronger way during Mercury retrograde. And so it's not a time to solve important problems or make really big life-changing decisions. It may be a time that you will think about, I've got to make this life-changing decision. But you won't initiate it during Mercury retrograde. You will get, Mercury will help you going backwards, looping back around and seeing the same thing from a different perspective. It's like, I'm going to make that change that I have been thinking about for so long. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it soon. And then sometimes it's best to let that settle, wait for Mercury to go direct, and then put into motion the steps that you need to change whatever it was where the inspiration came during a Mercury retrograde. So aside from people blaming Mercury retrograde for everything that goes wrong,
it's true.
The postal system, communications, computers, phones, everything like that. We can also thank Mercury when it's retrograde for allowing us to, tune in, to listen more and to get guidance, a little bit. Because Mercury's taking a break, When Venus is retrograde, I say the same thing. It's taking a break now. Just, slow
it down.
Slow it all down. Don't be in such a, panic to accomplish something or whatever. Now, I know there are certain deadlines that happen. The world is not organized around Mercury
slowing
retrograde.
down. No, it's true.
Like the school semester is maybe starting for many people this year while Mercury's retrograde. What's that going to do? Well, they'll find out.
I think that's really interesting, because I've always thought that there's a higher purpose to everything. So even if we get very frustrated in our kind of goal-centric kind of world, Mercury retrograde periods do almost force us to slow down, to get off the roundabout and actually think about things and work out our value point, and bringing in that energy of the Venus star point in Gemini. So you've kind of got this additional kind of layer of energy supporting, heart-centered space. Get out of your head, stop and think about what really matters to you. Make those key decisions. Take the time not to leap into action, but to filter things, to process things, to be an observer of your own experience. I mean, that seems to me to be, both collectively and individually, something that is profoundly valuable right here and right now.
Yes.
You know, amidst the kind of transitions and changes and the chaos that we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
To, you know, if everybody in the world just said, right, okay, we get this, we're going to stop and we're going to observe, instead of feeling fired up and frustrated and angry because things aren't going our way, and let's just stop, let's slow down, let's just really take some time to reflect what really matters to us and how do we move it forwards, and then prepare to implement that. You know, in a way, this is really you know, the energy, the incoming energy, is profoundly sound advice and guidance for us as a collective and individually, if we're aware of it and if we choose to listen to it. Otherwise, we're kind of, I think it's like wading through treacle, trying to make stuff happen when it's, you know, the time is just not right, or running up. The picture that's come to my mind is like trying to run up an escalator that's actually going down. You know, it's like it's got that sort of flavor about it, and then wondering why you're not getting anywhere.
Right. Talk about going against the current.
Exactly, absolutely. Arielle, I'm mindful of our time, and I guess we need to kind of wrap up.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh,
it's been so insightful.
Thank you for introducing me to your audience.
Oh, wow, it's
I
a
know,
joy.
just you know, if like you said earlier, if any of you have any questions, feel free to put them in the question box, whatever, attached to this video. Comments in the comments.
We have comments, and we have an amazing community of people who do comment. I thank you all for your comments, your shares, your likes, and actually your comments are amazing. I mean, you guys are so inspirational, and thank you for your support of me. You know, I feel truly humbled. Thank you also for your support of each other. I feel like we have a lot of Venus energy in this community. You only have to read the comments to kind of see the kind of people that are here, and to kind of observe. I mean, the way you support each other is mind-blowing, you know, especially in this. In fact, you know, this is a wonderfully positive example of just what you were saying, the higher vibrational element of this greater level of communication. It's a classic example of how much Venus energy is here within the communications of this community. You know, people on all corners of the earth, talking to each other, supporting each other, sharing, listening. I mean, it's for me, it's mind-blowing. So thank you so much. Thank you, Arielle. It's a joy.
Thank you, Jenny.
I'm just wanting to.
Wonderful to be here with you.
I just want to give your book a little. I can genuinely say this is amazing. I'm obviously going to get my book signed. So I have this. Arielle has not only written about the Venus star point. My second book that I've just bought is this one here. So we have Mythic Astrology Applied. This is like a workbook. Am I right about that?
It's the second of a 2-volume set. The first, Mythic Astrology, is why are all the myths of Greece, or myths of any culture, ancient culture, how they influence the naming and the meaning of our planets, our signs, our zodiac, everything. So that's the first book.
And this
number
is book
2 is how do I work with that on a practical level. It's
Amazing.
called Healing Through the Planets. So there are ways to you know, Vedic astrologers use remedies. If you don't have enough Saturn, how can you increase it? If you have too much Saturn, how do you decrease it? Things like that. So this is more connected to that.
Right. I want a conversation about this as well. Maybe we can line that up. I love conversations that give us real practical information about how we use stuff.
Right.
Because it means we can go away and do something with it. Back to that, I mean, I think that's back to my therapeutic hat, where I just recognize how people struggle so much and they don't have the tools to know how to actually move something forwards, how to connect to their heart center. How do you do that? How do you use astrology in a practical way to actually influence your world and to give you a greater sense of empowerment? So I love conversations like this. Arielle, thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy.
And blessings to you all.
Yeah, beautiful souls. I will see you in the readings shortly. Hey, beautiful Moon Magic Super Souls, whether you are on Patreon or in the YouTube membership area, thank you so much for being here and for your additional contributions. It's your contributions that help me to keep my library up and running and free for anyone who wishes to access it at any time. Your contributions and your donations help many people. So before we begin these readings, may I just say a huge heartfelt thank you to you all, not just on my behalf, but on behalf of everyone who accesses the library. Thank you so much. If you're new to me me to my channel. If you're watching this on the main YouTube channel, this video, as I probably mentioned during the conversation with Arielle, will be available for 48 hours only. It's permanently available on Patreon and in the YouTube membership area. It's my way of giving back a little something extra to you guys for all of your contributions. And if you are new to me, my library, the A to Z of Emotional Health, is a free online library dedicated to emotions and psychology, psychological knowledge, information. I mean, knowledge is power when we are connecting with our emotions, as spoken about in our conversation, my conversation with Arielle. This library is a totally free resource. Do access it if you need to. It is there to help. So, beautiful souls, we are doing 3 readings today. And following on from my conversation with Arielle, isn't she amazing? Following on from my conversation with Arielle, which you have just had the opportunity to listen to watch, we're going to be asking, how is the Venus star point 9-month period of gestation, which started in June and will finish at the end of March 2025, conception to birth, how is this period affecting and influencing you personally? That is the question we are asking today in our readings. I drew these cards not long after my conversation with Arielle, so I was very much in that energy, and I have put them to one side ready for this reading, which I'm now recording for you. I've also placed some crystals. They are all rose quartz, different variations of a rose quartz crystal, because this is so in alignment with the Venus energy of love, of harmony, of divine harmony, of that extraordinary ecstatic vibration of kind of pure love, pure joy, balance, everything that Venus brings to us. So let me show you the crystals and the cards in detail so that you can actually tune in to whichever reading or readings is speaking to you. So we have the raw rose quartz crystal for pile 1. This is what it looks like. And this is sitting with the card number 38. You are good enough. You do not have to give more. So that is for pile 1. Now pile 2, you have the rose quartz crystal wand. Very lovely crystal this. And your card is card number 37. Write a letter. Write a letter to your inner child. That is pile number 2. And then pile number 3, we have the rose quartz angel. In fact, let me show you this first. Beautiful rose quartz angel. And your card is card number 44. You know the way. Trust your intuition on this journey. And this is for pile 3. Okay, so as always, I'm just going to leave the video running for a little bit longer. I hope you're all doing amazingly. Thank you for being here. Welcome to you all. I'm going to leave the video running in case you need a little bit more time just to tune in with your intuition and see which of the piles is speaking to you, perhaps most strongly. If it is more than one, then do check in with more than one reading. I hope you have enjoyed that conversation with Arielle, and don't forget that she has actually said it's totally cool to ask questions in the comments. I will let her know once this is live, so she can tune in and perhaps answer those questions, and we'll also make a note of them, which means that she has said she will come back and do other conversations, which would be amazing. So if you've got questions, let us know, because then we can invite her back, have another conversation, and bring those questions into kind of a forum again. So beautiful souls, I'll leave the video running. I will see you in just a moment in the readings. Tons of love to you all, and yeah, I will see you in a moment. Hey Pile 1, welcome to your reading. So you have the beautiful raw crystal. I'm just going to place it down here below our little Venus star. You are good enough. You do not have to give more. Okay, so what is the Venus star point 9-month period helping you with, bringing you? Now I have a wonderful array of cards here. I'm going to draw from the Akashic Tarot first, just to see what kind of karmic lessons are coming through. We have the Garden and it's come out in reverse. How interesting. I think this is asking you to slow down, or helping you to slow down, helping you to smell the roses, helping you to be less goal orientated. I'm seeing this card as well. Balance, yeah, absolutely. Couldn't write it really, could you? So yeah, it's bringing you back into balance. There's something in your world that has significantly not been in balance, my beautiful souls. I think you're having to work quite hard at it, actually. This is bringing you back into balance. The root of it, you see, I think here, is actually to do with your own self-worth, your own self-esteem. I think for some of you, especially seeing these children here, I think for some of you with these children here during childhood, do you know, I don't think you were allowed to play, or maybe it wasn't safe to play. That's what's really coming through for me. Or I mean, some of you maybe even have a past life connection where you maybe went into service at a really young age. You could never be a child, you know, there was probably never enough to go round. I actually feel as a child in this lifetime, you've grown up with a sense of massive responsibility. That's what's coming through here. You could never stop and smell the roses or just play, you know, which is why you always feel that, you know, you have to give and you have to give and you have to give. This 9-month period of Venus star energy is actually coming to bring you back into balance. It's going to bring you experiences, or assist you with experiences that help you to almost rewrite your contract with yourself, okay? So you've grown up in a world where I don't think you felt enjoyed. This is the Venus star energy, that word, enjoy. When we enjoy, we embody joy. When we enjoy a child can enjoy themselves. And, excuse me, I feel like you didn't grow up in a world where you could relax or enjoy. Now that will be unique to you in your circumstances, but I feel you need to rewrite your own contract. You know, sometimes as well, just putting my therapy hat on really here for a moment, but it's what's coming through. I think sometimes it's a bit like, I don't know, I'm going to use an example. It's a bit random, but if this will apply to some but not all, but hopefully you'll get the gist of the energy. This is like if parents divorce, for example, and, you know, it's because they grew apart, or they fell out of love, you know, just normal stuff, or it could be, you know, a bigger deal. But I feel that you ended up picking up the responsibility or the emotional burden of that. Almost as if, like, some children just assume it must have been their fault, or that, you know, it must have been them that caused it, because children are singular. I mean, they're meant to be. That's how a child's life should be. But you've definitely absorbed too much responsibility as a child, and it's almost like that's written into your story. It's like you feel that's what you have to do. You have to give more, as if you're compensating for something that went wrong in childhood. Well, you don't. You know, if you're grown up, split up, that was their stuff. That was nothing to do with you. And even if you could have even have been told something, or made to feel more diminished, or not as if you were worthy, fully worthy, you don't have to give any more. That was their stuff. Even if that stuff was projected onto you, that was their stuff. It's time to rewrite your story, rewrite your contract. Can you see all these papers here on this desk? This needs to be brought back into balance, and that is what I think primarily this Venus star energy, I mean, there may be some of the other readings that apply to you too, but in this reading, this is the energy that's coming through. Now here I am drawing more tarot cards. Okay, we have the Seneschal. We have the Counselor. How very, very interesting. And look at this, the keys here in this person's earrings. Look at the keys and the dog as well. You are a very, very, very loyal person. I think when you meet people and you give 1,000%, you really do. You give 1,000% to your community as well. You just give. We've got these ants. Can you see these beautiful little ants here? You know, ants work as a team. I think you're incredibly good as a team. I suspect you often don't take credit, actually. You know, for your role. I think you're a key player in every team that you're part of. And yet you probably don't take credit. I think you step down from the limelight. You don't take credit for your achievements, who you are, what you do, how much you bring. Now, the counsellor coming in, I think many people turn to you for advice, but I also think this could be saying to some of you, look, go and get some counselling. You know, address these issues of low self-esteem. Become your own counsellor. You know, I suspect you are somebody who praises everybody but doesn't acknowledge yourself. And if someone says, oh, that was amazing, you'll go, oh, it was nothing. You know, and just sort of like sweep it under the carpet. It's time for you to own who you really are. It's time for you to rewrite that contract. You don't have to give any more than you already do. In fact, you probably need to give less. And it's really, really totally cool to start to acknowledge your own self-worth and be loyal to yourself, to work for yourself, to acknowledge your role, because you are amazing. And I think you really give so much to so many. Let's draw some oracle cards and see what else we are shown. Look at this. Sacred Falcon shows the way. Now, this is interesting for me, I think, in your reading pile 1, because this is suggesting that you are going to be receiving guidance in this 9-month period. I think you're going to be guided. So you're going to get situations showing up. Yeah, look at this. Tender trust, beloved body. You're going to get situations that show up that are designed, blessing to begin, to lead you in the direction of, I want to just sort of say what is right for you, okay? Where you start to honour yourself, perhaps to give less. There's also, do you know, what I'm seeing here as well, there's something that you actually want to begin. There's something you'd like to start. And it's purely and solely to do with you. It could be a new career pathway. It could be, you know, something, but it's something that you need to dedicate time to. And it probably, to give yourself fully the time and the permission to do this, you're going to have to give a little bit less to others, because if you're flat out giving to everybody, you know, and then there's this one thing that you'd love to be doing, but you're not doing it because somebody needs something all of the time. It's time to focus on the thing that you really want to do to begin. You've got the blessing to begin card. And look how the tender trust, beloved body, look how they look ahead. I always feel the imagery of this card. I love this card. It's like trusting in the future, knowing you'll be given what you need. It's very interesting, even in blessing to begin. Look how they look at each other. And you see this, you know, you may actually find someone comes along to partner with you, because there's a strong element of partnership here. I feel that you could get the support, someone coming into your world who mirrors to you what you really need. Now, this could also mean that you are mirrored some circumstances that help you to know what you need to let go of and how to rewrite your contract. Sacred Falcon shows the way. I think there will potentially be a series of kind of steps. You know, we're talking about quite a long period. It's probably emotional already. We're talking about June right through to the end of March 2025. I think you'll find events unfold where things come into your world that kind of show you that you need to shift, show you what you need to bring into balance, but with also opportunity, with the key to be able to create something, to make something happen. I think you could become your own counsellor, or somebody could be coming in to help you and guide you. But I do see opportunities coming. Joy. Love it. Look at that. Joy. Pure and simple. What have I just been saying about I don't feel you were enjoyed? Joy. I think this is people coming in and enjoying you, loving you for who you are. You're going to have to open yourself to receive that instead of sweeping it under the carpet when someone says, wow, you're so amazing. It's like, do you know what? Thank you so much. You know, that's such a lovely compliment, rather than, oh, it was nothing, da 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 da. So, this is about really owning that joy. Now, let's draw some more cards. I was about to draw a Rumi card for you, which I'm going to finish the reading with when I get to that point. But let's draw some more tarot cards and just see what else we are shown in this 9-month period. Just any more information. I think the key information is here for you already. Absolutely clear as to why and what the Venus star point energy is bringing for you. It's bringing you into balance. But you know what? It's about rewriting that contract. If you believed as a child that you had to give more and more and more, or keep everybody happy, or that somehow, you had to work your socks off to be accepted, whatever you have internalized, it's time to rewrite the contract with yourself. I mean, this is the essence of your reading, and we're being shown, I think, that you will be shown the way with people coming in who enjoy you, who are loyal to you because of who you are. Really show you that you are loved, you are appreciated. Yeah, look at that. Wow. You have the 3 of Cups. I mean, this is a celebration, a unity of what I would call sisterhood, but, non-gender specific here. Celebration of people who love you. Wow. We have the Queen of Swords. Okay, this is interesting. We have the 7 of Swords. We have Temperance, bringing you back into balance again. May we have one more card, please? May we have one more card for pile 1, please? Here we have it. Oh, wow, you have the card of success, the card of victory in the entire tarot pack. It is the card of being seen as well. Wow. Gosh, being seen. It's not just victory, this is being seen. Gosh, I think you might have been quite invisible as a child. That will be for some, but not all. But I kind of feel you were. I think that might apply to many. Now, what's happening is somebody or a group of people are coming in who will really enjoy you. They will love what you do. They will honour what you do. And this will help you with great determination to kind of get your head around the fact that you are genuinely worthy and rewrite that contract with our Queen of Swords. She's very, very good at being quite clear-cut and determined, and this is really what you need to get quite clear-cut, not slide back into those patterns. And I think there will be numerous opportunities to step out of those patterns during this 9-month period, so you birth into your true success and can be seen for who you really are. Now we have the 7 of Swords here, magnificent in the middle, because this is kind of something leaving you. And what I'm actually seeing in this card is systematically, sword by sword, kind of putting down the past, letting go of those inner beliefs, the things that hold you back, the stuff that compromises you, that's not right for you. It may be that some people do actually exit your life because they're no longer going to resonate with you, the people who still want you to give more and more and more. But it's curious, I'm not seeing massive letting goes of people here. I'm more seeing sort of shifts, really. I think people in your world, as you step up, will shift accordingly and might be, do you know, it's so wonderful to be able to give you something back. We've always wanted to, but you'd never receive it, you'd never take it. So it's kind of, I'm seeing a much greater shift towards something. Look at all these cards. She's looking ahead in every one, really, to the card of joy. And of course, Temperance is the card of balance. Could not be more clear. Love this. Let's draw a Rumi card and a Rumi message for you. I'm going to draw more. I'm going to draw both, is what I meant to say. Here we go. So your Rumi image is music. Okay. That's going to be sitting just here, I think, for a moment for us. That's your Rumi card. I think this is about singing to... yes, like walking to the beat of your own drum, singing your own song, being you. There's something you really want to do. It's time to follow it through, and you will be supported. You know, I don't think you're going to get too much of this sort of, oh, please don't, you know, we need you. I think you're going to get support. I think people will say, wow, that's amazing. How can we help? There's far more of that energy, far more of that positive energy than any kind of negativity showing up here. What we have here is dance. Dance when you are no longer bound by this and that entanglement. This is lovely. Dance when bloodied and battered you enter the temple of love. Dance when your very heartbeat is that of the beloved. Dance when you're broken open. Dance when you're free. Oh, do you know, that's giving me goosebumps. Seriously, I'm not joking, pile one. I have got goosebumps from head to toe. This Venus star point 9-month period is bringing you the freedom to be yourself, to sing your own song, to be seen, to follow something that really sings to your heart, to dance, to be liberated of any kind of contract as a child that held you back. Wow, I'm feeling quite emotional, but that's cool. It's a Venus reading. It's cool anyway. I'm totally cool to be emotional, but actually I really am. I've got goosebumps all over. Wow. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for checking in if you're on the main YouTube channel. Thank you to all of you on Patreon and in the YouTube membership area. Truly, truly, as I said at the start, your contributions really do help so many people. It keeps my library free for all who need it, emotionally, psychologically, as an assistance, as an aid. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And truly, it is a great honour and a privilege to know you, to be connected with you, and to read for you. Tons of love, pile one. Pile two, welcome to your reading, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for being here. Now, you have 37, write a letter to your inner child. Now, we're asking about, you know, what is this 9-month period of Venus star energy bringing for you, helping you with? Let's draw some Akashic cards first of all. How interesting. We have one of roses, commitment. It's kind of interesting. It sort of came out almost like it was neither upright or reverse. I mean, if you follow my readings, you'll know I very rarely read cards in reverse. I get what I need from the cards themselves, but this is one pack that I do. And this is coming out just like that, which I think is really, really interesting. And I'm seeing a contract. This is a card of commitment. Okay, there's something in the balance here. And if it's in the balance, why is it in the balance? Let's draw another card. Okay, the light of the world. And this is most definitely coming out in the reverse position. Okay, let's draw another card, or indeed another card or two for you before we say any more. What is this 9-month period of gestation bringing for you? And I'm going to move this along because I think we're going to need a bit of room now this card is led out this way. Okay, we have integrity and wisdom. Okay, that's an interesting collection of cards for you. I think, very interesting, this 9-month period is bringing you, it's not exactly a testing, that's not quite right. And we're going to draw a lot more cards, so we're going to find out a bit more about this. It's a bit like, I want to say like a test of faith, and by test of faith, I don't mean like something going horribly wrong. I mean your fundamental belief in something, your fundamental trust and faith in something. It's not just something being delivered, but whether you can deliver something as well. Can you really commit to something? Can you deliver the goods almost? There's something here about integrity, wisdom, bringing something forth. I feel there's something quite big on your horizon. Okay. Now, for some of you, you may kind of be in that stage where you're in your cave with it. You know, you're in that gestation period. You're still in the dream time. You're still thinking about it. You're still contemplating how you're going to bring it forth. I think it has genuine kind of potential, longevity. It's got presence is the right word I'm looking for. It's got presence. Now, something has been knocking on your door. The light of the world. Let me show it to you in the upright position. The thing is, it's been knocking on your door, but you've got to open the door and let it in. You've got to choose to make a commitment to it. What's holding you back is the answer here, I think. And this is the write a letter to your inner child. Because this feels the integrity card for me. This is a very grown-up card. You know, this is a grown-up card. I think there's something going on in your cave. And for some reason you are struggling to commit to it. It's been knocking on your door. This is an idea that's been knocking on your door for a while. Probably keeps popping up again and again. There's something that you want to do, or something that is almost coming through the dream time, knocking on your door and saying, hello, you know, how about this, or whatever this is. And for some reason, something in you has been either reticent, or you've procrastinated, or you're not very certain, or you're lacking in confidence. I'm not sure what else we're being shown here, but let's draw more cards. What else are we shown here? Let's make some more sense of this reading. What is happening in this 9-month period? We have Wild Red Rider, Blessing Bestowed. Okay, love that card. Love that card, actually. I love all these cards, to be fair, but I particularly love that one. Play with Me. Okay. Blessing of the Carter Bestowed. Wow, you've got blessings being bestowed upon you. Like blessings are arriving. Blessings are arriving. Yeah, you are. Sisters of the Spring Swallow, good fortune granted. This is like a rite of passage. Right, okay, your reading is becoming a little bit clearer to me now. Let's just move your cards along so we can see them. And I'm just going to draw a chakra card as well before diving in. Yeah, you're actually, this is big. You're bringing something forth. You have an idea. You're bringing something forth. You're making something, or you have an idea to do something. It's been gestating for a while. It's been knocking on your door. It's in your dreams. It's got so much potential. I mean, look at the abundance that could come. You have an idea or a spark of something, and whatever abundance would mean for you, there is something you really, really, really want with a passion. I think it's going to be